What, you're telling me you don't enjoy doing standing Qigong, Dad?
No, never,
You haven't quite
never.
got the itch for it yet.
No, it's the last try. If
Okay.
if I
Okay.
don't make it to 10 days, I will skip it for the rest of my life.
When did I first start enjoying it? I think I probably started really disliking it after, I don't know, 6 months or so. It wasn't too long. And then, let's see, if I started when I was 15, probably 16. Probably, I don't know, probably after about a year, I think I was enjoying doing it. I met, there's there's three zones. There's like beginning, this is just difficult, I don't like it. Then there's, this is really difficult, I don't enjoy doing it, but I love how I feel afterwards. And then the third section is, no, there's four. The third section is, it's still really difficult, but I'm enjoying the sensation and I like what how I feel afterwards. Then the last one is you just like everything about it. It's an acquired taste.
I would like to go straight to number five,
Yeah,
just to enjoy it and not hating it all the time.
yeah. I still remember my first ever standing Qigong session for, I think it was 20 minutes, the first time I ever did it. I think I was about 8 or 9 years old. And I had to stand there at the front of the class, at the front of like, I don't know, 20 or 30 people. And so, even way back then, it's like, I'm Earl Montague's son. I can't be the one that gives up. So I was just there shaking and, oh shit, this is really difficult. And yeah, I just would not give up. I just kept going and going and going. I don't think I ever did it again after that, but not until I was older. Can't remember actually, because at that time, when I was about 8 or 9, I did learn the whole first third of the Tai Chi form. So I kept going. I was just going along with Dad to his classes, not doing a specific special class with Dad. I was just going along and joining him with the classes. I don't have a specific memory of doing Qigong again, but I must have because he did Qigong at most of his classes. But I think, well, it's so long ago. It's 20, well, shit, 30, 35, 30, 33, 32 years ago, something like that. Um, yeah, so I just remember that first really painful one. Maybe I enjoyed it after that, and I just don't remember it because it was so pleasurable. I'm not sure. Hey, Chris, good to see you back. Haven't seen you in ages.
Yeah, unfortunately so.
All right, let's get our Qigong on. Okay, so it's evening time now. You've probably all been doing something a bit throughout the day, so I never do as much of a warm-up during an evening class than comparatively to our morning sessions. When you wake up in the morning, you're cold, just got out of bed kind of thing, especially when it's early morning. So I always do a good solid warm-up before doing standing Qigong. So tonight, I'm just going to give you a quick little back, just the lower back, because that's the main area which everyone tends to get really tight and stiff in. So let's just take it straight from here. Just slide your hands down your legs onto the ground. Walk forward until you're in a planking position, just to get your core engaging. Get the muscles switching on. Just kind of rocking about a little bit. So you're not just holding one position, you're letting your body sway like a little slinky dog. Okay, but keeping the pelvis tucked under the whole time, not letting your bum stick out like this. Tuck that pelvis under and engage the lower core. Then drop your knees. A little bit of cat-cow. Just get that whole spine to move one way, all the way under, and then all the way back the other way, as far as it'll go. And breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Sink down, bum on your feet, head on the floor, hands overhead. Again, a little bit of rocking going on. And then just a little bit for the upper back. You're going to link your fingers. Breathe in. Breathe out. Push your back towards the rear. Hollowing out your chest, shoulders rounding, head down. Release the fingers and lean forward, lifting your hands up overhead, keeping your back nice and straight. Breathe out, then straighten your body, breathe in. Pull your hands down to the rear, breathe out. Same again. In breath. Out breath into a ball. Release the hands. In breath forward. Leaning forward, lifting the hands up as far back as you can, really pushing your fingers behind you. Breathing out. And then sitting, straightening your back. Again, pushing your fingers like they're pushing onto the wall behind you as you slide your arms like on that imaginary wall behind you. One more time. Release the fingers, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. All right, Qigong. Let's do it again. So I can't handle that bright light shining in my face for Qigong. It's good for teaching, but not for actually doing your own practice. And that is what I'm doing here with you. I am doing my own Qigong practice. Sinking down. Scrunching the toes gently. Making sure those knees are nicely sunk down, really bending down. Getting that pelvis to relax at the bottom. Lifting your hands up into position. Deep breathing. Just settling into the posture for now. Trying to calm yourself down. Finding that sweet spot in your feet. Finding that sweet spot in your spine, your whole upper body, making sure it's nice and vertical, not leaning back, not leaning forwards or to the sides. That nice straight spine as well, caused by the pelvis tucked in under. Upper body should feel strong, but at the same time totally calm and heavy. So you don't want to relax so much that you feel kind of limp in your structure. It should be good, strong structure. Getting the mind to relax and stay here in the moment is really important for your Qigong. It's not to say you have to get it to the advanced level where there's no thought at all, but we want to at least be here, present for the Qigong, rather than having our minds in the future. For example, when are we going to stop? How much longer do we have to go? Just sit here in the present. This is the good thing about a guided Qigong. Simply listening to the things that I mutter about saying. It's keeping you here in what we're all doing together. Sure, your mind may be still thinking, so you're not in the deep, high level of meditation. But at least you're here in the moment. This is probably one of the biggest benefits you'll get by doing it as a group like this, rather than attempting it on your own, is simply being present. If you find your mind wandering a lot, one of the most simple things you can do to keep you present in the moment is think about the things you should be doing in your Qigong. So do a little circuit through your body, through the structures, the alignments that we should be adhering to during this practice. So we can start in the feet, finding our sweet spot. I can feel where my weight is in my feet, feeling if my weight's too far forward in the balls of the feet, too far back toward the rear of the heel. I'm feeling tension in my leg. When I find that sweet spot, the tension dissipates. Same with the left and right sides of the feet. If my knees are pushing too far outward, I'll feel pressure and tension down the outsides of my legs, outsides of the feet. If I allow my legs to collapse inwards, I'm feeling tension down the insides of my legs, insides of my feet. So I find that point on the feet where I feel the least tension in the lower leg, the shin, the calf, this region, and the feet themselves, in fact. It also doesn't matter if you sway a little bit. Don't feel like the Qigong has to be completely still like a statue. You're a living being, so your body will fluctuate. It'll rock a tiny bit as you breathe. So long as you're hovering around that sweet spot and you're not sitting and sinking for long periods of time into any other area of the body. Do the same thing with your pelvis. Really thinking about your pelvis. Move it just a little bit to feel where it is. So I can tilt my hip to the side, tilt my hip to the other side, lifting and dropping one hip. I can tuck my pelvis. I can relax my pelvis and let it cause it to push out, stick my bum out a little bit. Move it around just a little bit. And then find that point in the middle, again, the sweet spot. The upper spine, the whole spine rather. So we've looked at the pelvis, getting that pelvis to tuck under, creating a stable base for everything else. Now we want our body to be vertical. If you ever so slightly lean to one side, you'll feel tension straight away all down the other side of your body, even right up into your neck, into your ear. Tilt the other way, you'll feel that subtle change in tension all the way down the other side of your body. So you find that bit in the middle where everything is the most relaxed. Same with the forward and backward tilt of the spine. If you tilt just a little bit forwards, you'll feel more tension running down your back, through your glutes, your lower back mainly. If you bring it back up again and lean just ever so slightly backwards, you'll straight away feel more tension down the fronts of your legs, especially the upper part. You'll feel more tension in your lower core, lower abdominal muscles, and just everything down the front of your body. So again, finding the sweet spot. just slowly let your hands drop down. Relaxing the body down, same positioning of the body. The hands are just lower down in front of your pelvis. Shoulders need to find this sweet spot as well. If you let your shoulders relax too much, they'll feel more relaxed in the moment because they're not holding structure. You'll feel your muscles relax in this case. But because you now have poor posture, you'll pay for it later. So you might go, oh, this feels relaxed. But you're putting yourself in a very compromised position. In some cases, by using small amounts of tension to hold correct posture, it might feel somewhat more fatiguing in the moment, but you'll finish that exercise feeling strong, feeling pumped, feeling healthy. Whereas if you slouch down, like when you're doing desk work or something and you slouch down on your desk, it might feel relaxing. But after a few days, you're going, oh, I've got this pain in my neck, pain in my back. So it's not healthy for the body to completely relax, not unless you're lying down sleeping. We must always maintain postural structure. start to lift the hands up. And close off the Qigong. I think that was about 17 or 18 minutes. Nothing too extreme. So did you love that one, Dagmar? Was it beautiful?
Yes, a bit more.
Yeah, or it did. You being honest, it genuinely felt a bit better than usual.
Yeah, the tip from the morning to do it in the state of meditation really helps
Okay,
because I practice meditation every day for 20 years.
okay.
So I'm used to to go into the state of meditation, and now it's so much easier to adapt it in the stance. But I've never tried it before.
Oh,
It was
okay.
more physically and everything, and then I just so much tension in the
Yeah,
body.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, good, good. So you never know. Maybe by the end of the 10 days, you'll be like, oh, give me more Qigong.
I don't know yet, but
Yeah,
yeah, it's the first day, so
it's a good step forward. It's a good
yeah.
step forward. Yeah. Did anybody have any questions about standing? Anything I've said that you just kind of went like, huh? What's that mean?
I have a question about um, the movement beforehand. I have some back issues,
Mm-hmm.
so I can't round my back forward a lot.
Okay.
So I'm assuming it doesn't matter what movements we use as long as we loosen up the lower back.
Yeah, that's right. If you can't, for the actual qigong, if you can at least get into that straight position,
Oh,
that's
fine.
so that's fine. It's just that warm up that we did. You're
It's
talking
the
about
warm up. It's
yeah,
actually the warm up. I have more problem. I've done standing meditation before.
yep,
I'm just getting back into the length of it and the regularity of it.
okay, yeah.
So-
Yeah, no, that's just my personal preference as a nice warm up. It fits most people, but if you've got a particular problem with your back, of course, then any warm up that brings some heat and lubrication kind of thing into that lower spine, so that when you sit there in that static position, your spine doesn't kind of, stiffen up when you're in that position. So,
Thank you.
what's this guy saying? Do we clasp our hands when we do the leg lifts at the end? By clasp, Do you think that means clasp? What does clasp? Well, if someone says clasp, do you think they mean holding their hands? This guy said, do we clasp the hand? Anyway, regardless of what you do or don't do, I'll just show you what you do. You just cross them. You just cross the wrists at the wrist on your sacrum, right there. You just cross your wrists over like that. So they're not being held in any way. You're just crossing your wrists like so, like that. Right over left for a man, left over right for a woman. Okay? Or if you're a man feeling like a woman, you can try the other way if you like, and vice versa, but that's what all the Qigong texts tell us to do. So,
I have a good question.
yeah?
So, in terms of feeling a man or feeling a woman,
Yeah?
is this doesn't matter which leg you raising first? It doesn't matter.
I've never read anything about that states you should lift one leg before the other. There's a few things that state you should lift the right leg first, regardless of the sex, due to the way the digestive tract moves in the body, things like that. But with regard to the energy cycle of the yin-yang in the man compared to the woman, that doesn't, I've never read anything about it anyway, as far as, women should be starting with the left leg or something like that. So I just tell people to start with the right leg.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
I'll just give everyone a couple more minutes while I go grab a quick drink, and then we'll start the Deadly Katas.
Are you starting another class?
Yeah, I'm starting another class. Did you see a big spider? Did you see a big spider, Gabby?
It was there.
That's not a spider. That's a crane fly. That's a crane fly, not a spider. It's got wings. And they don't hurt, they don't bite, they don't do anything, they don't suck blood. They just fly around looking like giant mosquitoes. Terrifying people who don't like mosquitoes and don't realize they're not actually mosquitoes. All right, let's get back into these katas. All right, round 3. Now, someone had a question from last week. Reverse breathing. Something to do with reverse breathing. I remember. Let's just do a few rounds. Welcome to anyone who didn't just do the Qigong with us, by the way. If anyone's just jumping on now for the Deadly Katas class, we're in class 3 now of the Deadly Katas Qigong sets. So I've done 2 on the first one. We're going to do a bit of revision on the first one, and there's a couple of extra things I want to show you in the first one, but I don't think that'll take the whole class. So we will probably, I said we would just do the first one for the 3rd time last week, but I think we'll probably just do a little bit of revision on the first one, then begin the second one, and then probably finish the second one next week. What you'll find is, as I've always said, the first one always takes a bit more time to learn because you're learning all the principles of movement, whereas the second one, you just got to learn the strikes, the movements, which applications you're doing, and then apply those same movements to it, those same principles rather, into that Qigong. So as we go through, you'll find you'll learn them much, much quicker, in which case we'll have more time for revision. If we find by the time we're, 3 months into this course and we're at number 7 or 8 or whatever number we're up to, if we find like, oh, gee, we've, kind of shown you everything I need to show you for that, and we've still got 20 minutes left in the class, we go, right, let's go back to 1. Let's drill through all of them. Let's go through 1. Let's go through 2. We're going to drill them. We're going to make sure we know them properly, get that revision in. Maybe you'll have a question pop into your head about number 3 when we're training number 9. So when we do that revision, you can ask those questions again, and so on. Okay, let's get straight into it. Let's practice this number 1 just a couple of times each side, just to get into the flow of things. You should be pretty familiar with it by now. One more time. Other side. All right, I hope that's feeling good for you. Let's go over a couple more things with this Qigong. I'm going to answer the question from last week first. Bettina had a question about the reverse breathing. I'm pretty sure it was Bettina, and I'm pretty sure this was the question, unless I was dreaming. But she was asking, which is a really good point, which a lot of people feel, so I'll go over it now. When you do a natural breath, when you take that big inhalation, right? As we talked about in the Qi Development Tools class, when you relax your body and take a big deep in-breath, you feel your body kind of, if I exaggerate, it kind of opens up like this. Then when you breathe out, it sort of closes up like so. Never to that extent, of course, but you do feel that slight opening on the in-breath and closing on the out-breath, which can help you, at least on a more gentle level, on that more yin level. It can help you to learn the concept of opening and closing. Last week we talked about this final move being this kind of action dominantly rather than this kind of action, a twisting action. Yes, there is a little bit of a twist in there, but it's dominantly this kind of boom, this forward spinal action, this rolling action. So there's a really nice way you can learn that in the yin side of things. For example, when we learn the posture of squeeze, in your Taiji form. So a lot of people will be familiar with that, so I'll use that as an example. When we do, let's roll back. Okay, I've breathed out. Now, if I breathe in as I connect my hands, then I breathe out. See what the breath did to my body. I don't know if you can see that. It's very subtle, but the breath opened up my body. And then the out-breath, halfway through the move, the out-breath closed my body. So I don't need to think about, oh, how much should I move my body in this posture? Because often if you tell a beginner, stand here, come like halfway forward, connect your hands, open your elbows and open your chest up. They'll go, you know, something like this. It'd be looking silly. It's over-exaggerated. It's breaking structure from overdoing it. But if you tell them, first of all, just do the physical movements. Don't even talk about the breath or the wavy body movements or anything like that. You simply say, connect the hands, and then push forward on a diagonal path. Boom. Nice and simple. Connect the hands, making sure you're maintaining the yin and yang. So you've got a boom and a boom. You've got this nice yin and yang change as you come forward. That's most important. The amount of people you see doing this, changing the hands and pushing forward. We need to change the hands gradually so that you're in a constant state of flow, which applies to everything that we do. So once you've learnt the physical movements, right? So you teach the beginner the physical movements, where to put their hands, which direction to go, where to turn their waist, all of that stuff, the simple stuff. Then you simply say, right, do that movement. And I want you to begin the movement with an in-breath. Okay, so here's the movement, not even thinking about the breath, just connecting the hands to about there. Okay, and then the second half of the movement, keep it going, pushing forward, boom. Just thinking about the physical alignments. Now, during that half portion of the movement, until the hands touch, that first section till the hands touch, you simply tell the student, breathe in a nice, deep, natural in-breath. No reverse breathing, nothing complicated, just a natural, big, full belly breath. Okay, and what happens is, everything's opened because the belly's pushed out, the ribs have expanded, the body's opened. Not by thinking about it, simply by breathing in. You've opened up just the amount you should be opening up because you're breathing, assuming you're breathing correctly. By this point, you should have learnt how to breathe correctly. So we get that opening. And then, of course, as you think about the strike, you breathe out, which compresses because your belly goes in. And then into that movement. Now, of course, make sure that you don't accidentally make that too much, two separate movements. That's beside the point. You still got to make it one strike, you see. So from here, it's still, you see, it's still one movement, not some kind of a get ready and then hit him. No, you're hitting him from here. There's the strike, you see. That's the movement. So when we do that natural breath, it lends itself beautifully to teaching us how to create that open-close wave. That's the point. As you go into the reverse breath, I explained about the reverse breath in quite a lot of detail last week. But what Bettina was finding, she wasn't finding this natural opening surge to then the close. Because, of course, when you reverse breath, what's the first thing that happens? You squeeze in here, you feel that expansion and sort of rising up the back, that energy going this way, up through the back. And so you get something like that. I'm exaggerating at this moment. Okay? So that will happen first. When you do a proper reverse breath, let's go back to the basics of reverse breathing. I pull this in, but remember I said you suck this, you pull your belly in, you squeeze your belly for that initial portion that happens. Natural breathing, the belly goes out for the initial lower phase of the breath. There's the belly. Then the ribs expand out, and then the chest pops on the top. Just a little flimmer. A flimmer. That's a new word. Now this time, if I hold that belly in, the only portion of the breath which causes this to happen, the reverse breath, that is that same portion, that lower section. When I begin to feel the ribs expand and the chest open up, all of that stuff still happens. So we get you see? So from a very neutral position, a nice way to think about it is, rather than just sort of, being relaxed and then saying, okay, I'm going to do a reverse breath, you think about that inhalation, that first inhalation, as being kind of getting you into a ready state. And then it flows naturally into the rest of the punch, strike, whatever, defensive, whatever you're going to do. But let's say you something happens to you. You're standing here relaxed, and some guy comes up to you, grabs your shirt, or whatever, tries to rough you up. What a lot of people will do is they'll go, see, all the energy comes up, chest is lifted, fright, all my energy's up, I'm uprooted, I'm exposing all my vulnerable organs. No good. So instead, we still want to breathe in, because I don't want to, if I'm all at the bottom of my breath, it's a little bit harder to throw a punch when you're down there. So something happens. See, I inhaled, but I went into that C shape. I went into that C back. Now, in the case of what I just did there, that was just a, hey, come on now, settle down. Nothing happened. I didn't have to throw a punch. But let's now say, hypothetically, that same moment happened, something's happened, and I've gone, boom. And that charge, that, ooh, something's about to happen, flows continuously into my first strike. Now we get from that relaxed position, we get, you see? So the back is relaxed. It goes, see? That's where it sucks in. Everything's tightening up in case I get hit. I don't want to be standing like this when someone punches me in the guts. I want to be a little bit ready for it, a little bit curved, so I can go with it. I can let punches slip past. Even if I get hit, it's not going to do as much damage. There. So essentially what is happening is, with the reverse breath, natural breath, you're going, I'm going to exaggerate this blatantly, right? Natural breath looks like this. Okay? Reverse breath looks like this. There's a close before the open. So all the opening, the opening and closing of the natural breath still happens. It's just that instead of being purely open, close, there's a little kind of a, just get ready before you do it.
Hello?
To get some food. When I got in my car, there's this big orange sign taped to the stop sign pole saying no stopping.
I'll just mute them, shall I?
Okay.
Well, it's got.
There we go.
Eli, just a quick question. May I ask you
Yeah,
something?
yeah, go for it.
It feels like a vertical recharge explosion thingy rather than on a horizontal line. It's a vertical building up, closing, opening, and then pushing with closing again. This is kind of idea with the
Yes.
reverse breath?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So yeah, you're applying, as opposed to, I mean, obviously you can still use it within a twist as well, like the very first move that we did last week. I explained how, you know, this is clearly warm. It's clearly a twisting action. It's not like a Xingyi punch, for example, which is a much more vertical line action. It's very much a curving action, but it still has from there that wave, that vertical wave through the spine. So usually what happens if you're feeling like you're losing the vertical wave, let's say you're getting the vertical wave really nicely with your natural breath. Okay, so let's say I do, by the way, some of you training this stuff, the reverse breath is sort of, it's a bit more of an advanced concept. If you're finding like, what the hell, I'm not getting this. There's nothing wrong at all with doing these methods with a natural breath. You can do that. And maybe learn the methods, get comfortable with them. And the methods themselves, because they're sort of got that martial intent behind them, you might find that the reverse breathing sort of comes naturally anyway. That's how I learned reverse breathing. I didn't really learn it from a real technical point of view. I mean, Dad, you know, I heard Dad talk about it and teach it here and there, but I never bothered too much with it. I kind of went, oh yeah, okay, whatever. I didn't bother that much with it. But then I remember, you know, a couple of maybe 20 years into my training or something, someone asked me a question and said, oh, when you do this move or that move, I can't remember what it was, are you doing natural breath or reverse breath? And I went, oh, natural breath, I think. And he went, really? Because I feel like it works better with the reverse breath. And I went, I don't know. And yeah, whichever bit that he was talking about, I went, oh no, sorry, I'm doing reverse breath. Like, I'm not even thinking about it. Depending on the movement at hand will depend on how you breathe, because of what we're going to be going into next about the contractive regions in the body. So just one last thing on that breathing question. If you've got the natural breath and you're feeling that nice sort of waving, yeah, feeling that happen. And then you do the reverse breath and you're feeling kind of a bit, oh, hang on, I'm stuck down here and I'm not getting that, it's not flowing naturally into the next part. What's probably happening is you're way overdoing the closing, that initial closing portion of the reverse breath. So, and that could be because maybe I was showing it a little bit more emphasized in last week's class, just to try to show you what was happening. But if I do a reverse breath from here, here's me standing neutrally. I'm just going to do the first punch with a natural breath from a neutral stance. Here we go. Now I'm going to do it with the reverse breath. See how subtle that is. If you over-exaggerate, this is one of those things, I'm always talking about some things you can exaggerate and they work fine, doing them more, doing them bigger, but some things can't. And in the case of a reverse breath, if you exaggerate the principle of that reverse breath and go, I'm stuck. I'm stuck in there. Now I feel like I've kind of got to do a whole extra movement to get that punch to come out, to get that wave to come out. So that closing element, there it is. It's done. It's just there. So it's close, open, close. Technically, it's 3 compared to 2 in the natural breath. It's close, open, close. But that close, open, close, you can't even see it. That's how small it's got to get. I mean, if you're really like, when's he gonna? Oh yeah, I saw it. You might see it a little bit, but here's the reverse breath again. You see? If I do it like, no, I can't. I don't want to throw the punch then. I don't feel like I'm charged. I feel like from there I kind of want to go reset and then throw the punch. So don't overdo it. Don't exaggerate the technique. Okay. The last main area, which again is going to apply to all of these methods that we're practicing, is the contractions. Contractions in the body, mainly the abdomen area, but really it does happen through the whole body, but we tend to think about it a little bit more just in we get the legs working, we get the hands working, and then the attachment in the middle to connect those two things. The rest of it, I don't like to say like, oh, okay, as you're doing this, you're squeezing your right rear deltoid a little bit back, and then as you squeeze the right side of your obliques, you're feeling your right pectoral clench, and then your latissimus dorsal muscle is squeezing. It's too much. It's too much. If you just get the idea of pushing, so there's an active thing, there's something happening, okay? Well, you're pushing from your leg. Okay, so the legs are easy because by shifting your weight, there's pressure on them. For me to push my weight over here, I've got to use muscular force. I have to push. If I want to turn my hip, same thing, I've got to turn the pelvis. How do I turn the pelvis? I use my leg. The muscles in my leg, boom, push that hip over and cause my body to turn. So the legs are easy. Just shift your weight. You don't have to think about squeezing, clenching, anything like that. The arms, even, to some extent, because you have to direct your arm, you've got to move your arm. There's a lot more movement happening here, you see. So your shoulder muscles, your arm muscles, they're all engaged. Sure, you can put a bit more yang through them and squeeze them a bit more once you get used to it. But ultimately, as soon as you extend your arm out, you're engaging all the muscles. Otherwise, your arm would fall down, you see. Your core, however, your abdomen, it can just go along for the ride. It has the ability to go along for the ride, assuming you're not putting power through the movement. So because we're doing slow movements, think about it. If you stand here, shift your weight forward, throw that punch, and just relax your body completely. Like really, think about your belly, mainly your belly. Just think about your belly sitting out and relaxed. Just turn, push from your leg slowly. See, I can keep this all loose, but it feels dead. It feels disconnected inside. But that's how a lot of people do their Tai Chi, their Bagua, their Xingyi, whatever. No, not so much Xingyi because that tends to be done a bit more vigorously. Even Bagua for the most part. But in Tai Chi, because it's slow, people can become disconnected. They're not engaging the core. So this is why it's so important to practice things like push hands. Even if you're not getting into the full-on combat side of things, you must at the very least practice push hands and maybe a little bit of light mitt work or something to understand the movements, to understand the connectivity through here. If you do that same movement and say to yourself, okay, from here, I'm going to throw that punch not super fast, just relatively quickly. Now try and do that and leave your belly really flat and loose. You can't do it. As soon as you turn, it squeezes because it squeezes because that's how you cause movement to happen. It's like asking me to lift my arm without engaging my bicep. You can't do that. It's physically impossible. Not in that motion anyway. So when you move a little bit quicker, you see, that little kick off that back foot to push the hip that way, turning the center, instead of this bit just kind of being sat on the top, see when my hips move, my pelvis moves, everything on top can just sit there and go along for the ride. But If, for example, I were to do this same movement and ask my darling, beautiful wife to come in here and aid me for one moment. Oh, she heard me. Yeah, that's better. Okay, if Fran just puts her hand on my shoulder here, just there. So just move with me, right? Don't push on me, just move with my body so there's no resistance. So right now,
Coming, Gabby.
you can see my belly's completely flat, like not flat, the opposite of flat, completely loose. Now this time I want Fran to push against my movement, just a little bit, not too much at all. A little bit more. As soon as there's pressure there, my belly goes, oh, it's got to squeeze, because I have to push into it to stop me turning, yeah. So there's no way that I can't do it. If I want to push her, if I want to move her hand, I've got to engage the core. So it's the same with a hand. If I'm hitting something, got to engage the core. You see? Thank you, darling. So, this is where Taiji, Bagua, Wudang, Dim Mak, everything, all of this stuff, this is where it comes alive in terms of the slow movements. When you do a fast, boom, throw a fast punch, or do some push hands with your partner. You don't even have to think about that because you can't do it without. And this is why it's so important to do those things, because standing here and me telling you, look, squeeze this muscle and then squeeze this and then squeeze this, it kind of gives you a rough idea, but it will only truly work if you've got some, again, you don't have to be like a full-on professional fighter. You don't have to be getting in there sparring or anything like that. You just have to have some understanding of push hands at the very minimum. Because when you're doing push hands, just single push hands with your partner, preferably a bit of double, because that'll bring in some different, spirals rather than just the very basic single push hands. But even just single push hands, when you push on your partner, oh, okay, oh, that's different. Yeah, I've got to connect the body, got to feel here, there's tension through the pelvis. Okay. And then when they push on me, the body relaxes because they're creating the force now. I'm not pushing them. They are pushing me. I'm just letting them knock me around essentially and just maintaining my structure. So if you know a little bit of that stuff, if you know how to throw a punch, boom, you know how to throw a punch. You can punch a bag well, and assuming it's not like an arm punch. You know how to throw a proper connected strike of some kind. You then should, with this little lesson that I'm going to give you, you might be maybe like a really good boxer or something. You know how to throw a good punch, but you've got no concept of doing that really slowly. So maybe when you do it slowly, you might go like, yeah, okay, whatever. But there's no engagement, you see. So that's what we're learning from here. We're taking the principles of the fighting arts, what's happening in the application, which muscles are active. So the more training you put into your fighting, the higher level your Qigong will go to. Because it's that understanding of the power wave through the body, through the martial art, that brings out the energy, that activates the meridians, that activates your energy. Because Taiji, Bagua, they are martial arts. They are not ordinary Qigongs. So, I said I was going to have time to do the second one tonight, didn't I? Ha ha. So everything that would normally happen when I throw a punch, I can go, oh yeah, okay. Feeling this pressure in the legs. I'm feeling this squeeze through this region of my, it's not just about squeezing the belly. You don't want to just stand here and go, okay, I'm going to do the whole thing with a tense belly. That doesn't work. it's got to be moving, it's got to be rippling and undulating in the same way that you throw a punch. When you throw a punch, look what happens. The shoulder drops a little bit for that particular punch. Okay, see, it's tucked down. That side opens up. When I snap this back, this hammer fist back, what happens then? Boom! This side opens up. This side compresses. What happens with the last one? There's that opening, double hands, straight down the center. Okay, so you get that's more of a front on because both hands are hitting. Again, there is a little bit of a right left there, but I'm not going to talk about that just yet. So, I'm going to give you now, within this first Qigong, the sensation of, bit of squeeze here, bit of just the simple, as I said, legs you don't have to think about. Just shift the weight, or shift the weight across, shift the weight. If you just shift the weight, you'll be engaging the connectivity in your legs. The arms do their job because you're moving your arms. You're simply moving your arms. But the waist can get a bit laggy. So let's have a look at that. Mirror me. We begin with that little preparation thing. So we squeeze on the opposite side of the punching side. Okay? Just there. It's very subtle. Remember that little turning to the front, towards the front that we talked about? So right now I'm just a little bit squeezing on that side. Now when I throw this first punch, it's going to be the right hand side that I'm going to squeeze. When I throw that hammer fist, that squeeze goes across to my left hand side over here, the opposite side. Then it just kind of relaxes. When I say relax, it doesn't go, not relaxed, it just kind of, eases off. It's like, was that in this class I mentioned? It's like doing a yang strike. Wah! No, you know the yang strike. You don't have to go yang, yang, and then yang again. You just go, wah, you see? So there's that little micro recharge within. So that's kind of what's happening through here when we do that last move. So you got that squeeze across the right, squeeze across the left. It's still engaged, but it's just softly engaged. And then squeezing down the front when we do that one. I will just briefly show you what that looks like. Okay, so here's the technique. Here's me relaxed. Here's me charging. I'm going to hold my hands just a little bit higher so they're not in the way of my belly. Gives you the basic idea of the movement. See, it's squeezing over there. I'll just do it a little bit exaggerated, just it's squeezing over there, you see? And then it's squeezing over the other side. See, that side's expanding, that side's contracting, it's squeezing. And then, see how it's still holding on. It's not like this, but it's not like this. You see? So from there, see that, at least that little part there, that's quite squeezed at that moment. So there, you see, that's quite squeezed. That's quite squeezed. This is relaxed a little bit. Now watch the belly here. See, it's still on. Not on like this. but it's still on. Then when I drop into the posture, that's where that last portion comes through. Okay. How much you do that can vary. You can do it like how I was doing it there. I was really trying to show the difference that you can do it literally like that. That's the most yang. Probably not the best way to start because maybe it'll make you feel a bit too tense, but you can do it like that. Now, even if you're doing something as gentle as the chi development tools, for those of you following the Thursday night class, or just if you're doing some Taiji form, something like that, you'll still feel that when you move there, I'll show you again, just to show you the difference of the if I do a brush knee twist step, for example, here's doing it like I just did these methods, so with a bit of yang in there. Okay. So you can see the flexion. Here's doing it completely dead. There's nothing going on. Okay, it's lifeless. Now here's me doing super, super soft like chi development tools, but maybe you can still see what happens in the belly. So here's me very, very soft. There, it's relaxed. See, so all that engagement that we're talking about in these Qigongs, even though they're, oh yeah, come on, let's do them really yang, all the same stuff is always happening in all your soft Qigongs. This is why I keep saying that the Deadly Katas and the Chi development tools, and those two opposite sides of the coin, everything you learn in the Chi development tools will enhance your Katas. And everything in the Katas will enhance your Chi development tools. And both together, of course, will enhance your Taiji form, your Bagua form, and so on. It's a little easier to understand the movements, though, in the yang, because, oh, yeah, I can feel that. Oh, there it is. But if you try to go, oh, well, there's a little something, it's too subtle to feel. So you do it, do it in this yang, and oh, yeah, okay, now I'm knowing what the muscles are doing. Then when you go soft, you can still feel, oh, there it is. Still feeling those same little contractions happening when you're doing that Qigong. So that's really important to keep in mind. Okay, let's do that a couple of times each side with that in mind. So we'll go through a couple of times, and I'm just going to, all I'm going to say left, right, neutralize, squeeze. Just to sort of give you the idea, a little bit of guidance. So when I say right, it's meaning I'm squeezing down on my right side, yeah? When I say left, squeezing on my left side. Neutralize, that's that little, it's not really neutralizing, but you know what I mean. It's that bit where I said it's like not flexing, but not relaxing. It's that little between, and then that, we'll just call that the frontal squeeze, okay? So let's try that. So squeezing on the left to begin. There's your in-breath. Squeezing on the right with the first punch. Squeezing on the left into the hammer fist. neutralizing and squeezing down the front on the out breath. Let's try it again. Squeezing on the left to start. Squeezing on the right. Squeezing on the left. Switch sides. Squeezing on the right to inhale, to prepare. Squeeze on the left to punch. Squeeze on the right to hammer fist. Neutralize, squeeze down the front. Relax back into position. Squeeze on the right. Squeeze on the left. Squeeze on the right. Neutralize. Squeeze down the front. One more time. Squeeze on the right. Left. Right. Neutralize. Center. Let's try that again, but this time I want you to do the whole sequence. You should be pretty familiar with the moves now, so you shouldn't be like, hang on, where does my hand go kind of thing. You should be getting pretty familiar with the movements. I want you to do them like relatively quickly. In fact, let's just do it like this. I'm going to face you. So do it as a mirror. So you put your left foot forward. We'll switch sides and do both sides. I'm going to start off slowly, and I'm going to gradually build up the speed. We're not going to go to a full punching speed. We're just going to go to a fast-ish speed. Because when you move faster, you may not get as much Qigong effect in the beginning. Later on, you can get it slow or fast. You can get it any way you do it. But you may feel the activation of your core because you're moving quicker. So as soon as you move a little bit quicker, just a little bit like that, you'll go, oh yeah, oh, there it was. Then we'll gradually slow it back down again and see if you can learn from the doing it fast, feeling those contractions happening when you're moving fast. Then as we slow it back down, you maintain that same feeling of contractions even though you're slowing down. So let's give that a go. We'll start off nice and easy. Here we go. I'm not going to mention lefts or right this time because the whole point is you just got to feel it, and you should know it now anyway. So, slow. Even that was a little bit quicker than we were doing it, but that's a good pace to start with. Okay, let's do it again. Okay, a little bit faster. A little bit faster. Let's just keep it at that speed. Let's take it one step back, a little bit slower. A little bit slower again. A little bit slower again. Let's try the same thing, opposite side. Nice and slow to begin with. Remember, on the slow version, you might want to take that extra in-breath just there before the second out-breath. And then as you go faster, you probably just want to take the one in-breath and one out-breath. Sorry, I'm getting a bit yang, bit of a yang charge, then I went quickly straight away. Let's just build it up like we did before. So let's just do it a little bit quicker. A little bit quicker again. A little bit. Oh, let's just keep it that sort of speed, actually. One more time. Now let's gradually wind it back. Slow it down. Slower again. One more time like that. I'll just leave you with one last thing. This is more so for those of you who have already been practicing for some time. I'll have to show you my belly again. That last movement, if I squeeze, so I'll go on 1, 2, there's the sort of neutral part. If I go double hands together, watch what happens to the core. See, it's just straight, this sort of action. Now, if I start activating my right hand first, watch what happens to the core. You'll still see, you won't see this and this like you saw with the first two, because they were clearly on one side and clearly on the other side. Now you're going to see this kind of crisscross overlay. So we get something like this. We're doing 1, 2. Here comes the last move. See, because this movement is still kind of at least 50% of it, but you see, you still get a little bit more on that right side just to begin with, and a little bit more on that left side to finish with. But overall, it's still going through this way, like so, into that Qigong. All right, now that is the end of number 1. The only thing I haven't shown you with that number 1 is the dog paw, the paw dog. And that is when we throw this punch, instead of doing the hammer fist, anyone who's learnt these before, maybe you've seen them on some of our other videos or something, or the book, you'll know that that's not a hammer fist in the traditional advanced level of the form. It's actually a dog fist, like that. It's a funny little punch. You just knew I was laughing at you, didn't you, Bettina? I got 20 people on my screen, but she knew he's got to be laughing at me. That's exactly why I teach it as a hammer fist. For that reason, that the thoughts that went through your mind just now is why I teach it to begin with as a hammer fist. It's too damn difficult to get it right. You've got so much stuff to be thinking about with this Qigong. You're still getting pretty, it's just a slight little variation on the end there. But the point is, this technique only works if you snap it. It does not work if you follow it through. I'm just going to demonstrate that. I'm not going to teach it as a method, but just in case, I know some people have already learnt these methods from our other video or something, and you might be sort of going, oh, how do I get that to work, and this kind of thing. So if I do, just pop myself back on big screen. If I do what's the body mechanics of the hammer fist? Watch. 1, see, I'm just going turn straight into it. Look where my center is. I'm nicely loaded that way after the hammer. What? To then come back in because that right hand leads. So we essentially get 1, 2, 3. Now, if you do the dog paw, you can't do a dog paw and turn into it. That's just crap, right? 1, no, it doesn't fit that type of. This is how I can like it. Everyone knows how to do a back fist, or you should. You're snapping back fist, like you're like your first small sansao back fist. What does the wrist do? Goes. It whips, doesn't it? It snaps. So the actual contact point, when I'm hitting my target, the wrist is bent back that way when I hit my target. You could never do a back fist like this, could you? It wouldn't work. If you were doing like a whoom, like a slam through type of back fist, you wouldn't bend your wrist in that direction if you were going in that direction. You would only bend the wrist in that direction. Well, it's not. You're not bending the wrist. You're pulling the arm back and the wrist gets left behind. That's what happens, boom, when you throw those snappy punches. Same thing applies to a dog paw. A dog paw has the same body mechanics, same principle of movement. The only difference is it's basically just a horizontal back fist. Instead of it going this way, I mean the wrist movement is horizontal, not obviously the whole movement is still horizontal, but the wrist movement is this way rather than this way. It fits in places. It fits into little pockets in the neck and things, whereas the full hand might not fit. It's a lovely little weapon because it gives you a really good reach to the weapon, comparatively to, say, using the heel palm or something like that. Get a couple of extra inches of reach, which can really mean the difference between hitting him and not hitting him. So it is a really good weapon if you know how to use it. But because it requires that snap, watch what I have to do with my body. Okay, there's a whole extra turn there. You cannot have the dog paw like this. It just feels forced. It feels dead. It feels completely disconnected for me to push my wrist that way. But watch what my center does when I do it with the snap back. Still slow, but with the sort of simulation of that snap. You see? The waist is throwing out one way. I throw it like I'm going to do the hammer. But then I just snap it. Pop! Boom! There's the little crack on the end with the dog paw. Boom! And then it snaps straight back again to neutral to then come back into there. So we get 1, 2, and it's yeah. My advice is don't stuff around with that until you're feeling really, really confident with the rest of it. And yeah, then you can maybe try and give that a go. But that's why I generally treat that as leave that till like after you've learnt all 12 and then come back the second time you're learning them, maybe start thinking about that, but not now in the beginning. Just focus on the more fundamental body mechanics of the Qigong.
Sorry, Ilan, it feels like it's moving with first and then moving against with the dog paw.
Yes,
waist.
exactly.
It is, yeah.
Yes, you're throwing everyone out there, exaggerating. It's like everything's going that way, and then whoa, boom, and that just snaps like a whip on the end of the movement. Yeah.
Yeah, nice stuff. Really interesting. Thanks.
Yeah, good. Glad you enjoyed. I enjoyed that. I'm actually, yeah, I'm looking forward to getting to the second one next week. I like these. I like them. I'm looking, both of them, the Qi development tools as well. I'm really enjoying.
We can do that in Slovenia then.
Yeah, I might chuck one of them in. Do something in Slovenia maybe chuck it in as a warm up or something. Because we're doing, actually, that's a good idea because we are doing like well, only drills, like partner drills. That's the workshop, is push hands and combat drills, things like that. It's all partner, combat-y, push handsy sort of stuff. So it would actually be nice just to chuck a little Qigong at the beginning. Maybe I could do a Dim Mak Kata at the beginning of the day and a Qi development tool at the end of the day. We'll see. See what we've got time for. Well, thank you all very much for joining me. I had a lovely class, and tomorrow, Qigong Challenge. Tomorrow will be part of the normal morning class. Anyone who's joining for Qigong Challenge tomorrow, it'll be part of the normal morning class. So we'll be doing a little warm-up, then the Tai Chi form from 6 till about 7:30, and then from 7:30 will be the standing Qigong section of the morning. So I will see you all hopefully for some of that, and enjoy your week. Hopefully see you for more Qigong. See you later, guys. Have a good night.